There are newly found and significant concerns inside the administration of a potential health care meltdown if a deep flaw in the Obamacare website is not fixed quickly. And insurance companies can't figure out who signed up and what subsidies they're getting. Charles Krauthammer sees a lot at stake because of this now.
You've got a train wreck coming. Now, I think it's going to come out slowly. It's not going to all happen in one day, but I think they're in deep trouble. And the deadline is mid-March. If they don't have this in place in mid-March, then there's going to be all hell's going to break loose.
All right, so Stephen Hayes, senior writer, Weekly Standard, Fox News contributor, and good morning to you, Stephen. You were on special report with Charles when he made that comment. Back up just a little bit. What did Jim Engel find in these administration documents late yesterday about Obamacare and the concerns within the administration?
Well, the administration had to file documents to the Department of Health and Human Services to justify its awarding of a no-bid contract to Accenture to build what everybody's referring to as the back end of the Obamacare website. That is the part of the website that delivers information that consumers input into the healthcare.gov website and then spits them out to the insurance companies. CGI, the company that had been responsible for building that, hadn't done an adequate job. You had congressional testimony last week that the back end isn't still built at this date. So in submitting these documents to justify the awarding of a no-bid contract, the administration made some pretty stark claims about the status of the health care law, saying, in effect, the health care reform program in total could be jeopardized if the back end isn't built soon enough. Adopting the language of its critics.
Just reading a quote here, the entire health insurance industry at risk, potentially leading to the default and disrupting continued services and coverage to consumers. Now, you say it's a big deal the administration is acknowledging this. Did it have any other choice, Steve?
Well, it's been trying to avoid acknowledging this for some months now. I mean, it's not a surprise to anybody in the administration that the back end hasn't been built. I mean, we've known that. We've had that in congressional testimony now for several months. But the administration, at least in public, has been engaged in what I would call happy talk. You know, whether it's Kathleen Sebelius saying everything's fine, more people have health security now, whether it's testimony in front of Congress pretending that things are going swimmingly, whether it's Jay Carney at the podium at the White House. All we've been hearing from the administration is that things are going well. Things are clearly not going well. This document, I think, embraces that and acknowledges that in a more forthright way than we've seen from the administration up to this point.
Okay, fair point and clarification, well noted there. But apparently there's a deadline in this, too. It's around mid-March, about 2 months from now. And also the documents say, quote, if the problems aren't fixed by then, they will result in financial harm to the government. Jay Carney was asked about this, and he pretty much sidestepped it, right? Said, I had not seen the documents, don't know about that report. Does he now?
He did. I mean, I would expect that he would get more questions about this at the briefings in the next couple of days, because this is a pretty big deal. I mean, the Obama administration has been not only telling the American public, but also Democratic lawmakers in private meetings with Democrats on Capitol Hill that things are going well, that all of the criticism is overblown, that there are bumps in the road, these are small problems, easily manageable. In effect, what the administration is saying in these documents is precisely the opposite, and is really sounding an alarm that without major changes, without the building of this back end of the website and the effective use of the back end of the website, this whole reform could be in jeopardy. You haven't heard that from the administration.
Now, they keep mentioning the back end. That has not been built yet. Right. One assumes that they're still trying to manage this and figure it out and get it up and running. But that's where the government and the new website talks to the insurance companies.
Exactly. And look, as far back as October, you had reports of insurance companies doing what they called hand-checking the data that came through. And that literally meant having people on the other side of the receiving end of this data as it was coming through the healthcare.gov website, literally taking their hands and looking at this information and double-checking to make sure it was good information, that it was intelligible, that people could actually make use of it. That was fine when you were talking about a universe of a couple hundred enrollments or potential enrollments per week, but that universe is much larger now, and it's impractical to think that you can continue to hand check.
One more point here. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time here, but Krauthammer, you just heard him say you've got a train wreck coming here. In the short time we have left, is there any indication now that they can get this right before mid-March?
Well, if I were a betting man, I certainly wouldn't put much money on them getting it right before mid-March. They're obviously coming up with ways to sort of paper over the problem. They've now brought in Accenture to really help solve the problem, but you're talking about building this, in effect, from the beginning in a period of just a couple months. That is a tall order.
All right, Stephen, thank you. We'll see if Jim Angle
Thanks,
gets
Bill.
his hands on anything else today. Appreciate your time out of Washington, Martha.
You bet.